What is up, guys? Welcome back to the best podcast in America, PWTB. I'm here with my co-host Evan. Evan, how are you?
We got to lead with that more often. That was great. Yeah, I agree. Best podcast out there. I'm glad to be back on.
I agree. We gotta leave with that more often. I agree, man. We're gonna jump into our first topic here. It has finally happened, guys. We've been hearing about it all off season. Maybe a couple hours ago, you saw it on your phone. Aaron Rodgers, the drama's finally over. He's finally got traded to the New York Jets. And it feels like we've been talking about this all off season. Evan, it's about time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about time. We've really been talking about this since that NFC Championship game from 2020 when Brady went up to Lambeau and beat Green Bay. Obviously, a very close game, a very controversial ending too, about some of the play calling in that game. But we've really been talking about it since then because the Packers have been winning a lot more under Matt LaFleur. This was his fourth year. They've been winning a lot more, but Rodgers has still not been happy. Why? It's because he's not as good as he used to be. That's why. That's why he's not happy. He's projecting. Like you all know that one guy who's like, that old timer you may have maybe worked with. He's not completely there anymore, maybe physically or mentally. But
He is also mad because the Packers did not go after a wide receiver last year's deadline. He's
very
also
Very true. But what I just want to say is we all know that old timer who thinks who bosses everyone around. He's really mad at himself. And that's the same thing with Aaron Rodgers. I watched, born and raised in Wisconsin, Kenosha, Wisconsin. Packers aren't my first team, but I've watched a lot of Packers games. I'll tell you that. And I remember those Aaron Rodgers comebacks, the dime to Jared Cook in the Dallas divisional game. All the Hail Marys, the Arizona miracle, the Detroit miracle, all those Hail Marys. That is not Aaron Rodgers anymore. I've said it on this podcast. I'll say it again. That is not the same Aaron Rodgers. He's a winner. He's figured out that, listen, I don't have the arm talent, and he's a smart enough and a good enough quarterback to adjust like that, kind of like what Peyton Manning did later in his career. But he doesn't have that clutch factor. He doesn't have that mobility he used to have. And that's really shown in the playoffs when they most needed him, because that's when Aaron Rodgers used to shine, and he's not shining anymore. So that's the one factor. The other is I think he's mad at himself. The other factor that Jake was kind of talking about was that, yes, the Packers aren't getting them receivers. They had Adams. They lost Adams. It got really rough without Adams.
the biggest part of his upset though. The biggest reason he's upset though is because a couple years ago the Packers trade up to get his replacement.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's just the grudge thing, though. I don't have a problem with that personally. I think Jordan Love was a reach. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he was a first round talent at all. But you know what? If you think you find your quarterback, that's fine. And to Aaron Rodgers, if the pack, they're not drafting him to replace you. They're just drafting him as a backup. So if that offends you, that shows to Aaron Rodgers, like fragile
He
ego.
thought he was, he thought Jordan Love was replacing him. That's why he got upset. He didn't realize he was a backup.
Yeah, because he doesn't understand. But anyways, Jake is right. So it's the receivers. They've failed to get him that. The team, I think the team's been pretty good, so that's a little overhyped. And then obviously, like Jake said, with Jordan Love, that whole controversy, we'll see how that works out. But the point being, he's won it out for over 2 years. I'm glad to see the circus end. And yeah, Jake, what are you thinking about?
Obviously had Packers obviously had a down year this year, missing the playoffs. Um, but let's get into the trade details of this. So basically the trade was the Jets get Aaron Rodgers, the number 15th overall pick, and 170th overall pick in the fifth round. The Packers get 13th overall pick, 42nd, 207, and a conditional second round pick in 2024. Now, that second round pick, it could turn into a first rounder if Aaron Rodgers plays 65% of the Jet snaps in 2023. Um, I said it on this. I'm glad you brought up things that have been said on this podcast before. Because I have said it before, I'll say it again. The Jets were a quarterback away. They got their quarterback. Let's see what they do in the draft. Let's see what they do in the regular season.
I think both teams got what they wanted. I think in the end, the Packers are going to win this trade, though. I think Aaron Rodgers will do serviceable. I think the Jets are a serviceable team, but that's all I think of them. At this current rate, the Jets do not have the weapons. They don't have a Devontae Adams to carry the Packers to the promised land. I think they could be a playoff team. They could sneak in, and the
They
Jets have
don't,
the
but they do got Garrett Wilson, who did win Offensive Rookie of the Year, so I'm excited to see his jump in year two.
fair enough. And they got Sauce Gardner on defense, good defensive pieces too. Of course, that defense will help. They may make the playoffs, which they need to, because we did a video on this too. They've gone the longest without the playoffs in all major, four sports. But I just don't think it's going to be enough. I think their ultimate goal is the Super Bowl, and I don't think that's going to happen. And Rodgers is going to retire soon. And the Packers, if I'm saying this correct, they may potentially get 2 first-rounders out of this, right?
Yes, they will. Yes, yes.
So I'm not the hugest Jordan Love fan. I've said that before. I just said on, earlier in this video that I think it wasn't a first round talent. I don't think he's going to work out great this year. But this sets up the Packers nicely. They didn't have to give, or they actually, excuse me, they got a pretty decent return for Aaron Rodgers. Yes, I know you may look at it and they only moved up 2 spots in the first round or whatever, and that might look a little
Yeah.
disappointing. But this is backload. They got a second round pick. They got some later round picks, and they may get a first. Very likely will get a first next year, barring an injury. I think this is a good deal to set up the Packers for the future, because the Packers need to build towards the future. Will that future be Jordan Love? I don't think so, but you know what? Let's see. That's what 2023 is about. Yeah.
My question is, will Jordan Love be the starter for the Green Bay Packers in 2023, or will they go out and either sign a quarterback, or maybe even draft a quarterback this draft?
No, he's gonna
What
be
they
go ahead.
I mean, a lot of people are not Jordan Love fans, but has Jordan Love shown enough so that he can lead this team? Or do
N-
the Packers believe that there's another quarterback,
no,
either that be a free agent or through the draft?
Yeah, no, I don't know. We don't, based on Jordan Love NFL, we don't know anything. Anyone who's telling you they know something based on his NFL play, they don't know anything. What I'm basing it on is he went to Utah State, not a terrible program, but a G5, and he was okay. He was not even that great in college. They must just like his intangibles, his size. I think he's 6'4", pretty big guy. They just might like that. But Jake's right. We don't know how he's going to play. I may have my opinion on it, but we don't know. But to answer your question about the quarterback, no, they're gonna ride up with Jordan Love. Well, I mean, it's not like they're contending at this point without Rodgers. I mean, maybe, but I doubt it. No, you got to see. This is his 4th year. I think you got to see what with Jordan Love. I think you start him. Maybe sign like a veteran backup just in case it really gets ugly. But no, Jordan Love will be the start in 2023. I think
Carson Wentz. Go
he can
after
sit.
Carson Wentz.
He can sit on the bench next to him, but it doesn't matter. Jordan Love's going to start. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Jordan Love will start. Carson Wentz will just be that veteran presence
Yeah.
for him.